Diversity is a condition of having or being composed of different elements. In clinical trials, these critical elements include gender, race, ethnicity, and age. In the previous slides, you would have seen that, to a large extent, there's some parity in gender. Elderly, not as well represented. When I mean elderly, people 65 and older. But obviously, from race and ethnicity, there's a huge gap. Sometimes as wide as 95%, comparing whites and others. So inclusion is then the act or practice of including and accommodating people who have historically been excluded for one reason or the other, whether it be race, gender, sexuality, or ability. So at the bottom of this slide, it says, ensuring representation of diverse backgrounds in clinical trials is crucial to advancing health equity. I mean, to talk about health equity and equality is a whole different talk by itself. But based on the slides that I've shared, it is clear that a good chunk of what we prescribe today did not include our families, our communities, our members, for one reason or the other. So, very critical that we all in this room should understand that and begin to proactively seek for ways to bridge that gap. That is the message of this talk. And I'll tell you how we're going to do that. Now, further buttressing why it is important to ensure health equity is the fact that there are sex-dependent differences. We all know that. For example, in nephrology, renal clearance, body weight, body fat distribution. All of this can affect how a drug works. So if you're not represented, chances are you're being prescribed a drug that may not be as effective for you, or may pose more side effects, because, well, we don't know that because it wasn't necessarily tested in our communities, or we didn't achieve enough statistical power when it was being developed, when it was being trialed. 2, specific populations have been found to have increased frequency of genetic polymorphisms that are identified for drug transporters and drug metabolizing enzymes, making these racial groups more susceptible to altered activity. I'm not going to go into the whole breakdown of that, but whether it's liver enzymes or some proteases here and there, we all know that there's genetic differences in the ways that we metabolize medications. And there are also obviously pathophysiological differences between races. Some races are predisposed to certain kinds of ailments, while others are not. Again, that's a topic for another day. Now, I'm just going to point out two examples here. Very well known ACE inhibitors. It turned out that long after most of ACE inhibitors were approved decades ago, that they had very high incidence of angioedema in people of African ancestry or black. Obviously, that wasn't picked up at the time of the trial. Another reason why it's important that you achieve statistical power and representation when medications are being tried. Even more recently, the FDA has been approving race-specific dosing for medications like Crestor, rosuvastatin, or warfarin, recommending lower doses in Asians. Again, another reason where if there was enough statistical power at the time these medications were being tried, these things would have been picked up. And potentially it may have affected morbidity or mortality in one way or the other. Again, that's not the purpose of this talk. So what is the world doing? How is society reacting to this? I think the FDA and the NIH have developed programs to ensure that minority health and equity are being put at the forefront in terms of drug development. And there are a lot of resources when you look through the FDA website regarding clinical trial diversity. So I'm not going to really focus on that now. So, questions that we need to ask us, one of the tasks that the FDA has to address is with barriers such as lack of awareness of eligibility for clinical trials, lack of insurance or access to healthcare, not meeting study criteria due to comorbidities or age restrictions, personal attitudes and beliefs or fear factor. How do we create inclusion in the trial community? Because what I've just enumerated are the key problems, rather than any, at least not now, intention to exclude any demographics.